Hello and welcome to the Creative Academy, the Blue Pencil Sessions. This is where we give feedback to people who have turned in a few pages for us to look at. Sometimes we all agree, sometimes we don't. So I'm Eileen Cook and I'm here today with Donna and Crystal. And we are talking about Elissa's piece. We are seeing another submission from her, which we're excited to sort of see. This is our ongoing saga with Sagaris and her sister Zarina, who are back in sort of Amazonian times. And in this piece, it's in the final act. They were sold into slavery and they are working in a mine. That's where the piece sort of opens. So I think what might be helpful is just kind of go through a little bit sort of page by page and see how it's working. So when we sort of talk on that first page, do people have any thoughts they want to sort of bring forward?
Just a little bitty one to start, but when it says she yacked on the walk, immediately I'm thinking she threw up.
I did the same thing. I was like,
she didn't even pause to breath. She just dove down that ladder. I was like, wait, what now?
Yeah, I think yacked is modern. Like people use that like, oh, I yacked it up. Donna's looking at us like we're crazy.
Like, yeah, because I'm old, because obviously yak means talking. Yeah.
No, not anymore.
Okay, not anymore.
I said I yacked on somebody, my daughter would be like,
well, yeah, yakking on someone. But okay, anyway, okay, so there you go. 2 bumps and 1 knot. Okay.
So what my biggest thing that I want to have, and you're going to hear this over and over from me, Alyssa, so I apologize for that right here, is I know from office hours you've talked about being concerned about a shorter word count for this piece. So you're going to see several places for me where I talk about, I want you to unpack it and for us to spend a way bigger amount of time. Like this is a scene which feels like so much happens and I feel like we move through it really quickly. And because we're moving through it so quickly, I think you were hoping it would keep the pace kind of like boom, 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 boom. But it actually just makes me feel distant from what's going on. I didn't feel connected. So for example, they're in the mine and the 2 sisters are going to work in different tunnels. And she's, after filling leather sacks and crawling halfway back, Sagaris was about to take a short break when a deafening rumble sounded. And I just really want to slow down and be there with her in that moment. Like this must be terrifying. Like you're underground. They've been warned that there can be these collapses. Like just take a moment and really let us have her be like, wait, what is that? And then she's feeling it. Everything's vibrating. There's rocks bouncing off of her face. There's probably dust coming up, so she's maybe, coughing and choking. And I want to have that there. And kind of at that same little part is she says like, she's got to get out of there. Good point. She needs to get out now. At least Zarina's in the first tunnel. She would get out quickly. I just felt like you just took the tension down with that. Like let her right off the bat be like, she's far from her sister. Oh my God, Zarina, like even if she says like, she should be fine. She's at the tunnel closer to the door. But I still want her to be scared. Like it just felt like it was like, yeah, my sister's probably fine. And I really wanted us to have that moment. How about for you two?
It's funny, I highlighted the same sentence. Sagaris was about to take a short break when the deafening rumble sounded. I didn't put together that Elissa wants to add more words here. I highlighted it because it felt so passive for such an important action. So the way you're describing it, like, yeah, that makes sense to me. That would get me in because, yes, that's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, and I had actually highlighted the same spot, but for a different reason again. It was partly because of that time passing that it's like, no, you go ahead and take it. And now we're taking a break already. Like if you're a slave working in a mine and you've probably got a quota to hit and it's not likely going to be allowing you to take much for breaks. I mean, they do say it lets them take more breaks if they're in the closer to ones, but she'd gone to the next one. But also I want to know, like, what is she filling the leather sack with? How heavy are they? Does she have a shovel or is she supposed to use her fingers? Is this like silver that she's picking up that somebody else has mined, or is she like pickaxing it out of the wall? I mean, if it's slave labor, it's usually rougher as all get out and way harder than you would want to be working for the most part. And so I really wanted more of those juicy details, just a little bit of tone setting and giving us a sense of how hard this is and how tired she's maybe already going to be by the time she gets back to her sister and what else is going on. So,
and I'm going to add, like, cause I didn't have it there, but like what does the mine look like? Like how close are the walls? Like are these big tunnels, or is it like you're kind of crawling through the tunnel? Like could 2 or 3 people fit abreast in those tunnels? I think some of that would be really interesting.
And it might be in a previous scene too, right?
It could
this
be,
is the final scene. They've been in that mine for a while, presumably, because they've figured out which tunnels to work in.
And they didn't have huge equipment back in those days. So if you're thinking hand dug tunnels, they usually weren't any bigger than they needed to be to fit a person and a whatever they were hauling out through. There wasn't a lot of heavy equipment. So they're usually pretty claustrophobic and, you know, not pleasant. And the air is terrible because fans and circulation systems and everything didn't exist yet. So that crushing feeling of like not really being able to breathe, because the air quality is just terrible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So kind of scrolling on, and again, I warned you I'd have some repeats onto page 2. Some places where I wanted some more emotion and to really stop there. But she comes around the corner and she realizes that there's this wall of rocks. And so the tunnel where her sister is the one, in fact, that's had the collapse. So she drops the lantern and launches herself at the wall of rocks, flinging the rocks as fast as she could. No, not Zarina, no. Like, again, let's slow way down and unpack that. Like, I want to feel her heart stop. I want to feel her fingers, like a fingernail tearing off as she's pulling those, you're welcome, pulling those rocks away. Like, and again, if she had a pickaxe or a shovel, is she just wailing away? Are blisters on her hands breaking? Like, I want to see and feel that unbelievable panic, particularly because a beat later, her light goes out and she's actually in the dark doing that. So I just really wanted to have that moment there. And then again, just a little bit later, like there's some other slaves that come and join her. And I do love this because normally she has this line about how mostly people would just be like, get the heck out of Dodge. There's been a collapse. But because it's Zarina and because Zarina is this kind spirit, all these other slaves are coming to try and help her. Mm-hmm. And I loved that moment, but I wanted to see them. Like, what do these people look like? Are they old? Are these all women? And again, we might know some of this from earlier scenes, but I want to see that moment. I want to be there. Where are they scrambling? Are people talking at all? Or is this all happening in silence?
That's a good segue to what I want to say.
Go.
She says she realized she was screaming Zarina's name and stopped herself. Her shouts could create another cave-in. And I stopped on that one and thought, if you're screaming someone's name, like in this situation, she's probably so terrified. She's not being rational. She's not thinking about another cave-in. She's only thinking about getting her sister out. So her shouts could create another cave-in really took me out. First of all, it's passive voice. And second of all, I don't buy that she'd be thinking about that, or she shouldn't be. And then later, she's actually wailing like a wolf. A howl of a wounded animal echoed through the tunnel, and she realizes it was her. That's a great opportunity to have other people go, whoa, 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 shh. Like, you could be making this worse for all of us. You could kill all of us. So you could still get that extra layer of fear in, but without it being Sagaris being rational, because I don't want her to be rational right now.
She's got another slave right beside her in that first scene. Like, she's screaming Zarina's name and stopped herself. Her shouts could create another cave-in. Light approached. Another slave began moving rocks beside her. That person could be like knock it off, you know? And then I kind of like that it escalates to her like keening like a wounded animal.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because that's not the same as shouting in terms of like reverberations, if that makes sense. That part didn't feel like a stretch. I really wanted more of the senses again in that spot where you've got this chalky dust. Her mouth is open because she's wailing away, right? She's screaming for her sister. You're going to taste that. Like, the air is going to taste like dirt and grit, and it's going to be in your teeth and your mouth. Like, I've spent some time digging in construction sites and stuff, and let me tell you, it's gross and probably nowhere near what you're going to get from an actual mine cave-in. So there is an opportunity for like the smelling the damp earth, and you know,
it would be in her eyes. Like, every time you blinked, it would be.
Yeah, totally.
And again, some of those sensor details for me are just a little bit later. So they finally clear a little bit of a hole. And Sagaris grabbed a lantern and dived in. like, I'm guessing this would be the tiniest of holes. Like, my hunch is she's going to have to wriggle in, like, and I want to feel it, like the rocks scraping her back and her stomach as she pulls herself through this little tiny hole looking for her. Like, I really wanted, yeah, the grit in her mouth. I actually had here, like, you know, all that kind of stuff where she's just digging in. So then she's unable to find her sister. And so she's not really sure what she's doing. And so then she continues, like, maybe her sister's under these rocks, and she starts digging away at those. And again, I almost wanted, like, maybe there's something where someone tries to stop her and she's just like shoves them away. Like, she would be that frantic thing. Like, again, when you sometimes see people, you know, trying to run back into a burning building or to do something, like someone might be like, you're going to unstabilize things further, or, you know, that kind of stuff where we can feel her be like, I don't care. Then the happy thing, there is, her sister is there, and her sister is actually the one who comes up behind her and is basically like, it's okay, and sort of holds her. And you know, there's a line, Zarina wiped the tears from Sigaris's face. And I just wanted to know, like, is there tons of grit on her face? All those kinds of stuff. I wanted to be there. Where are you guys?
I'm just looking for that one. So Saga Saga, I'm here, I'm okay. A ghost called to her. I liked that, like, she's out of her head. And then the next line, she must be hallucinating. Focus, she told herself, focus, it's not too late. Arms gripped her from behind, she pushed away. I want that not to be third person and over there. I want this to be in her head. So she thinks she's hearing a ghost speaking, and I want her hallucination to be internal monologue as opposed to whatever we call this in writing.
Yeah. And I'd love it if she were apologizing to her sister for not being able to get her out in time or whatever, right? Like, if she honestly believes that her sister's gone and this is a ghost she's talking to, like, that would be, yeah. Like, that would be in character for her. She's very much the protector, and she would feel like she had failed.
Like, for me, like, I've read, how many scenes have we read? 5 scenes or something from the story, and in 3 out of 5 of them I've cried. And I love these characters. Like, I am the eldest sister. I have a younger sister who I couldn't stand. I have a little brother who I still feel protective of.
I thought you were going to say who I still can't stand. That's what I was waiting for.
And I love my sister now. But we had to go through this. And so I really connect with these characters. And this is a scene where I know Elissa was really struggling with this final scene to come up with how can she give her younger sister the power and let Sigaris see that Zarina actually has value, and that she loves her and that she values her contribution. And so I can totally see what she's doing here. And I think the setup, the scene is perfect to do all of those things. And where it fails is I didn't connect emotionally. I didn't cry, and I want to cry. Like, I do. And there's so many opportunities to make me cry. So,
well, and if we want to learn about the sister's value, maybe it's a thing where she asked one of the other slaves, like, you know, what are you doing? And they're like, you know, Zarina gave me, you know, bread for my sister. Zarina made me laugh when I hurt my, like, where we suddenly see her taking in all that they're doing. Like, that might be an interesting thing. If you do keep the hallucinating, just be aware you do have an echo later, because later there's a line that says maybe she was hallucinating. So I would definitely take one of those out.
And I love that second one. Like, the second one had a lot more punch in the context. You know, maybe she was hallucinating. Maybe she was just seeing what she wanted to see. Maybe she had discovered Zarina's broken body and it was all too much and her mind had cracked. Like, that was just so powerful, and it
much stronger
way, but yeah.
And I wanted even more there again, like, hey, guess what, I'm going to say the use of the term unpacking again. Like, is she shaking? Like, is it the kind of thing where, like, as she's going to help her climb up the ladder, are her arms, like, does her sister actually have to put her hand over hers to help her hold on to the rung? You know, is it the thing where someone kind of helps your leg, you like, okay, now you put your next leg up on the rung? Like, I really want to see that for her, this is the moment, right? And her sister is back. So I really want to feel like, maybe her legs don't feel like they're connected to the rest. I want to be in her head where it just feels like she might feel like she's gonna yak because she's, at that moment.
And you probably would coming out of there, like, you'd be hitting clean oxygen after barely breathing and being near hyperventilating and dragging the extra weight and all of that. You're probably going to have some pretty extreme reactions. I think there's a really good opportunity right at the end there too, to give us more of the scene in terms of you've stumbled out of this tunnel into what's probably chaos. There's going to be people running, bodies being pulled out of the rubble, like, it's going to be a disaster. But, if even one or two of the other slaves took a moment and, passed a cup of water over or something, would show that they were paying attention, and that could be their way of kind of paying back the sisters, right? Like for the earlier kindnesses or whatever. But you do have an opportunity for the drama of the scene to stay really big around the close drama of, then the girls getting cleaned up and whatever else. But it did feel like it had a little bit of lack of context for us to feel the chaos and why it's a big deal for her sister to be looking after her in the midst of all of this, right? It shows that she's doing a good job of that in a nice little role reversal there.
Well, and I think it's like a camera angle, right? Where you have the camera zoom out so we can sort of see this big scene, and then we zoom in on these two characters, and then again zooming out at times. And I think, again, knowing that you want to expand your word count, there are several moments on just these few pages where we can really see where you could take some time and just really build it out, and you'll get way more emotional punch. And my hunch is, you and I have talked, we both know we like to write short and get to things. Like, you're just moving through the scene so quickly that we lose some of the impact of it because we don't slow down to sort of be in that moment with them.
I don't know. I've never seen, I agree, all that. And I want to point out something that I absolutely loved at the very, very end, where Sagaris calls her sister Zarzar. And I don't know, I haven't seen in any of the other scenes where she calls her Zarzar. And to me, that's such a poignant moment to have that nice nickname for her.
Yeah, there was some beautiful stuff in there. Like, I just love these two sisters, same as you.
I do. Yeah.
So keep going. That's what we have to say, which is a reminder to other people they should keep going too, and they should submit some pages for us to take a look at. So we like to do that in the blue pencil. Turn those in. You'll get some feedback. Sometimes we'll agree. Sometimes we won't. We'll define what the word yak means to different people, and we'll go from there. So until then, we'll see you all around the Creative Academy. Take care, everybody.
Bye.